What's up, everybody? I am back with kind of early in the week for a movie spoiler review, but there's gonna be like a set of animated or at least anime movies that I'll be like really diving into. Uh, what I was going to say right now. It's going to be like a series of My Hero Academia movies. Since I covered all 7 seasons up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. Links is in the description below. Also, I'm 11 subs away from 500. So if you haven't subbed already, please do so. Check out my content on the channel. So I figure since I already covered all the uh, seasons, at least so far that has been put out of My Hero Academia, I figure, okay, I can go through the movies now in order because they just released a new one last year. I didn't even realize that until the other day. So I figured, okay, good. At least I know that now, so I won't, so I won't forget that. So I'm gonna do like at least a couple each week, so I can like get through them because there's so much stuff I gotta take care of personally in my life as well as for the channel. I need to make sure those are out the way. Just like as I went through all the Yu-Gi-Oh series, I went that's when I decided to go through the movies, which also is up on my YouTube channel. So definitely check those out. Anyway, so since it's officially the Women History Month, I figured the best way to start off with that is the Alita Battle Angel. Since we're in the throes of anime right now, I figure I check this out because it didn't dawn on this movie wasn't really on my radar until I saw like a clip come up on my Facebook feed a few days ago, and I figured like what, I have not watched this film. I've seen clips of the film. I've seen people or heard people talk about how good it is, but for some strange reason, despite it coming out in 2019, a year before the whole pandemic situation, uh, you know, uh, it did so well overseas, but domestically, it didn't hit the numbers that people really wanted it to hit. But it became a beloved classic that people are clamoring for. It's one of those movies that it definitely deserves a sequel. Like, it's a shame I didn't go to the movies to see this, but this is probably the most anime uh movies that to ever anime because uh this is directed by Robert Rodriguez, but produced by James Cameron, who is a huge fan of Alita Battle Angel manga and anime from way back in the day. So much so that he made sure, because this was in development hell for years before it finally came out, he was able to do this movie, but he made sure this was like so spot on to the anime and manga to make sure it's properly honored in all its aspects. And I have so much respect for someone like that who. This is what people are talking about when you have respect for a source material. It's kind of like how I feel about Henry Cavill, how he has so much respect for all things, like nerdy and stuff, because like Superman or Witcher, or whatever. It's like, no, or even Warhammer, like he's gonna be working on Warhammer TV show or movie, and it's like, no, this has to be respected down to the nitty gritty of it all. Um, and it's like you can see that even though I never read Alita Battle Angel, nor have I watched the series. I've seen clips of it, and it's like, man, this is hardcore. It's kind of like a Fist of the North Star type of hardcore. And it's amazing this movie, still respected that, even though it didn't have much blood because it's PG-13. But some of the people who get killed you know, they have like these like lubricant blood or whatever, so they can get away with the violence. But it's like, dear God, there's a cyborg that went through a grinder. It's like, man, how this gets away with being PG-13? Uh, but it's like, yeah, this Detective Pikachu. Uh, in terms of live action animes, it's like the ones I can think of off the top of my head, where it's like, they honor the source material and they, scarcely deviate from from what the source material provided. And I respect that so much, man. After watching, it's like, yeah, this definitely deserves, like, this Detective Pikachu, uh, uh, the Dread movie, they deserve a, a sequel. Hold on. Sorry about that, everybody. Brother called me. Want to check on something. Uh, anyway, so yeah, I really love this movie. It's like really, really, really good. It's a shame that I didn't go see this. I mean, and that's probably one of the reasons why it didn't do so hot and domestically, because I vaguely remember it being promoted, but not to. It's kind of like how it's like the first John Wick movie didn't do so hot at first. It had to rely on word of mouth because the way it was, from what I remember, wasn't promoted all that or marketed all that well at first. Probably because people didn't have, at least studios didn't have that much faith in it. Maybe so. That's probably why. Because yeah, I vaguely remember certain advertisements for this film, but it isn't regurgitated like you see something like those big blockbusters like like Avatar or the uh, Indiana Jones or anything like that. So this is directed by Robert Rodriguez, screenplay James Cameron, and I didn't even know this until fairly recently. It stars Rosa Salazar, who plays Alita. But if you play Arkham, Batman Arkham Origins, the character, one of the uh, bounty hunters, Copperhead, she was the voice of that character. I didn't even know that, but she's also voiced a bunch of characters or acted in stuff where you barely see her face in things. It's kind of like the way Tom Hardy, where it's like most of the stuff he's in, sometimes you just don't see his face and stuff. But if you look at her face, wow, that is straight up Alita. It's like you're talking like a spot on casting. Um, yeah, I mean, it's like, wow. She was in Maze Runner, The Death Cure as Brenda. She was in Bird Box as Lucy. Wow, really? Uh, yeah, oh yeah, Scorch Trials. Yeah, yeah, Scorch Trials and the other Maze Runner thing. Not the first one, I guess. Um, Night Owls. Um, she was in Captain America, Brave New World. Oh, in deleted scenes, I guess. She what? She was supposed to be Diamondback this whole entire time, but it was a deleted scene. So I guess it was cut. Oh my god! Oh, that makes me hate the movie even more. Like what? I can't believe that. Oh my god! I just man. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, yeah. The only video game she was in was uh, uh, Batman Arkham Origins. Uh, yeah, she was in quite a few TV shows like The Big Mouth and Star Trek short treks. Uh, yeah, she has like a definite Tim and Eric's bedtime stories. Yeah, she's in quite a few stuff. Have a great roster of credentials. Christoph Waltz as Dr. Dyson Ido, Jennifer Connelly as Dr. Shirin, Mahershala Ali as Vector, Ed Skrein, you might know him better as Francis from Deadpool, plays Zapan, Jackie Earl Haley as Goriska, Keenan Johnson as Hugo, Joris Leaderboard Jr. as Tanji, Lana Condor as Kiyomi, who you might remember her in one of the X-Men films as she was one of the Jubilees. I'm pretty sure in Days of Future Past. No, Apocalypse. I'm sorry, Apocalypse. Idara Victor as Nurse Gerhad. Jeff Fahali as McTeague. So, yeah, we even got like a Jai Courtney as like a as a little bit role as like a motorball champion named Josh Hugan. And then we got Edward Norton as supposedly the overall big bad of who knows if this will ever become like an actual film series or at least like a trilogy or something like that, because clearly he's supposed to be some kind of overall bad guy. Oh, the Blade Runner sequel, that should have been like expected like a third of like a possible trilogy in that thing, because they set up what's his name from Morbius, Jared Leto, set him up to be like the overall bad guy. We never see that come to fruition. But got Edward Norton as Nova, who's supposed to be like this overarching bad guy in this. I'm pretty sure in the manga and anime, he was like the big bad to Alita to deal with. Anyway, so the movie opens where Ido goes to this junkyard and finds this mostly alive or mostly dead, depending on your point of view, of this discarded cyborg who he takes back, repurposes and fixes up, and who he dubs Alita. And honestly, man, this movie knows how to do anime eyes right. We all grew up watching anime, and quite often we see like the anime girls have those kind of wide eyes. Either that or the Powerpuff Girls. But either way, we never seen that worked out. Never thought it can work out in live action so well, but here we are. This movie has done spectacular work, and this is a perfect example of utilizing a budget, and you can see where every dime went to and is utilized exactly where it needs to. Nothing, the budget wasn't overblown. They knew exactly how much they needed, and they put it where it needed to go. And it's like, spare no expense. And it's like, man, even somebody down to somebody like Alita, just by herself, even though you clearly is like CGI in a lot of ways, but she has so much personality. Even like the city itself have so much personality involved, where it's just like you walk it into like some kind of like futuristic cyberpunk world where it's kind of cringy despite it being futuristic. I mean, it's like, wow, you so invested in this. And honestly, I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of people who really started deep diving into Alita Battle Angel after this movie. This is like a good world building here, despite it just being one movie. Because you know what it reminds me of? Final Fantasy VII or the remake, whichever one, part 1 of Final Fantasy VII, where you're just in this one location, but it's so much involved into this one location. It is almost like that. Final Fantasy VII. It just dawned on me, man, this feels like Final Fantasy VII. Even despite it being an anime, I can feel certain video game elements involved in here as well. But anyway, Alita, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, very charming, and the way she acts off Christoph Waltz is just like, man, the charm just oozes off of each other. She meets up with Hugo, who's pretty much like the Aladdin of this place. And honestly, the chemistry with everybody is amazing. God, everybody was on top of their freaking game with this. So we see a moment where like a dog is about to get squished by this walking, tank-like truck thing, and she just goes into fight mode, which shows like, oh, there's more to this girl's backstory that meets the eye. Like, oh my god, it's like, why is she, going to a fighting stance? Like it's like you immediately think it's on instinct. So we just start learning a little bit more. And I love the way they do the stereotypical exposition dump, but because you're new to this world, by and large, because how many people remember Alita Battle Angel like that? Because I definitely did, despite me loving anime. I didn't watch all of them, so it's nice to be fresh into one. And it's the way they do exposition where you're just immediately invested because there's so much going on in this world. Like, what's the rules here? And like with Cyberpunk video game or with Edge Runners, most of the people there have some type of cybernetic prosthetic going on, or full-on prosthetic. You can tell if most of them still have their human qualities, but it's like you can question, like, are they even still human anymore? Because there's so much like robotics going on. It's like, wow, so interesting. And I was like, this is probably what Cyberpunk video game probably should have been from the jump. I know they probably fixed it up eventually, but it's like, man, this is what we probably should have expected from Cyberpunk from the get-go, man. But anyway, Alita is immediately infatuated with Hugo. But then she started noticing things from Ido, like a cut on his arm. She got a little curious where he was going at night, and he's like a hunter, and in this world there are hunters who goes out there certain bounties, either certain people with certain parts, or if they by and large have hurt anybody, because police ain't a thing like that here. So it's kind of like the Wild West in a way. So you got a bounty hunter, and so he is like secretly a bounty hunter in order to afford his practice to keep it running. He had to take a job on the side as a bounty hunter uh, and take certain jobs. He gets ambushed by three different cyborgs, but thanks to Alita, who comes in clutch with skills that puzzles even Ido, takes out two of the goons. And like I said, this should have been probably rated R, but they got away with PG-13 because their blood wasn't the color blood. But the big guy ends up running away. Garuska. Like I said, I'm terrible with names. So Ido comes clean about his past to Alita, and Alita ends up remembering certain bits about her past, like she was in some kind of war, like many years ago, probably 300 years ago, during like this massive battle between the United Nations of Mars or something like that. And Ido mentions that she had like a what's that right? Calling me right now. All right. So, yeah, he had like a daughter, and he helped operate on other cyborgs because he's like a cybernetics cyberneticist, I guess that's the proper word. And one of them, his patients, who was this rollerball type of guy, sports dude. There's like a sports game in this world called a motorball. It was pretty much like rollerball, but with cyborg gladiators. And one of them is played by, at least in this brief moment, is played by the guy who was in Starship Troopers. I forgot his freaking name. Casper Van Dien. Because I guess it's kind of like one of those kind of like addicted, mind-addled kind of guy who snuck in to his shop trying to find, some drugs and other stuff. And he was addled. So he ends up killing his paraplegic daughter, who was named Alita. And Jennifer Connelly's character, Dr. Sharon, was married, and that was her daughter too. But that became too much, so she left and went to work for Vector, who's like this one of the villains here. And I often see, like, when people talk about Mahershala Ali as Blade, and you see these thumbnails about him, they utilize this image of him in this film. It's like, oh, this is how he would look if he was Blade. And it's like, oh, so that's where the people got that image from. Because I thought it was like some of PR studio pictures that he took, and it was just got shopped around and stuff. Like he took some promo pictures or something. But no, it was like the images that they would use when it comes to Mahershala Ali as Blade. They utilize Alita Battle Angel images. So she Alita wants to figure out more about her past, and with the help of Hugo, because the doctor doesn't want to help because he doesn't want her to get hurt. They end up like tracking down, well, not purposely, but He took her to this the motorball thing, which she becomes immediately infatuated with. Uh, Shirin spots her and sends an upgraded Gariski to collect her. But she, uh, you know, she found, thanks to help of Hugo and his friends, ends up finding like this old a berserker suit, or not a suit, but a body in this old war-torn ship that she recalls being part of the crew. Even it still responds to her codes, or not code, but just she fooling around with the dashboards and stuff. The thing shouldn't even be functional, let alone answering anything. But finds the body, but Ito just wanted to attach it because this thing is like a weapon. I'm not going to send you out to the wolves like that. No, because he, just sees her as another daughter, like a second chance. But she doesn't listen, and she ends up deciding to become like a bounty hunter, get registered, and then walks into this bar called Kansas. And in this part, it was one of the cringiest parts, and one I did not care for because it didn't feel earned at all. Where she walks up in there and tries to do this big speech to get all these other bounty hunters to rally to her side to take on Nova and his cronies and stuff like that. None of them are really listening. Think she's being ridiculous, but it's like, all in all, I thought that part didn't need to be in here because it didn't feel earned at all. This seems like more, at the very most, a third act rallying cry, because I think that's usually where moments like this need to be placed. It's already a little over 2 hours long anyway of a movie. But then Gorinsky shows up, kills the dog that she took care of and befriended, in the first and leading up to the second act, which that's where you get, from what I'm understanding, the very moment in the anime where she takes the blood and wipes it underneath her eyes. So that's what I'm saying, like the attention to detail. You can tell he's a fan because little moments like that, not anybody will remember things like that. It's just those small details showing that you got some reverence for this material. So she ends up taking on a fight with this gigantuan cyborg who, like in the anime and manga, cuts her up a bit, but she still manages to shove her fist into his eyeball. And because the other bounty hunter, McTeague, who has a bunch of cyborg dogs, sees the fact that, he killed the dog. He's a dog lover, apparently. He, along with Dr. Ido and Hugo, comes help her out and chases the guy off. He figures like, okay, I gotta save her, so I got to attach this, berserker armor onto her in order to save her. And so she's back good as new, and the bond between her and Hugo gets a lot closer, and they end up making out and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you think like the movie Her was, leading up to these, AI robot things that Elon Musk is putting out? No, Alita Battle Angel set this up, because it's like, man, we're not too far away from that kind of crap. If you get like robots that are looking like Alita and Android 18, a decade from now, women are cooked, because it's already hard enough as it is today, in the dating market, because 80% of dudes are kind of like pushed out and needing, somebody. We get like AI robots that look like Alita and Android 18. It's like Women ain't gonna have nothing. They gonna suffer in the future. It's like God. It's like we don't want it to happen, but it's like we're getting so close to that right now. And God help you, ladies, if you give these cyborg girls a womb to actually get some type of pregnancy going on, then that's like, what's the point of you? It's hard. Like, I hate to say that, but it'd be like, God, it'd be no point to you. It's like, because you don't need cyborg dudes, because you can always get any dude you want. Like, it's like, it's just like, young men are struggling, and you get like Alita out there in the world. Oh my God, you're cooked. You cannot compete with somebody like Alita or Android 18. Definitely not Android 18. God help you if you think you could take on Android 18. But anyway, again, off track here. But I'm just have to bring that up here because this is the moment that I want to bring that up, because this dude is pretty much banging this robot. This is PG-13, but if it was rated R, we'll have a moment where she will have some type of, fleshlight thing in her hoo-ha, where Hugo can actually just bang the crap out of Alita. Because, like I said, if it was rated R, there will be scenes with that going on. Anyway, but Hugo's dreams to, like in the manga and the anime, wants to get to that top of the floating city. I forgot what it's called. He wants to get out of the slums, essentially. But after spending time with Alita, he wants to just be with her to go up there. So he's been like collecting secretly, him and his cronies, or not cronies, but his friends, in these little dark hoodies to like kidnap certain cyborgs as payment by Vector in order to build up the money, because he figured he can buy his way to the top, because the only other way to get to the top is by competing in the motorball and becoming its champion. That's the only way to get to the top, but he's not going to be able to compete, so he figures he can buy his way. Turns out that isn't going to be the case. As Idol points out, we find out later on that there's no buying your way to the top. It's all lies. Because him and Dr. Chirin used to be from there, but they left to have like a family and away from the crap that was going on up top. Like I said, we need a sequel just to see what's going on at the top and why they left. What is it like there? Is it all like the the Wizard of Oz, where it's like, it's all grand, but if you look behind the curtain, is something more sinister? Like, I'm so curious. It should have gotten a sequel a long time ago. Now I'm starting to get concerned with Matt Reeves' Batman. Are we ever going to get a sequel to that? Because he's really leaving that lingering. Especially after the success of the Penguin shows. Like, you can't leave that hanging at all. But anyway, while she is competing in the motorball in order to help her boyfriend, essentially, to collect the money so he can have enough to get to the top, because there's like an awesome moment where she actually takes out her heart to give to him, because like she literally is giving this kid her heart, and he's like, no, nobody gives things for free, don't do this. Because the chemistry between these two is amazing, and it's like there was like a awesome symbolism there of a person giving a piece of themselves to a person that they love. That is like the ultimate display of love. You literally and metaphorically are giving yourself to this person. And it's just like an awesome scene played out, man. Great scene. And can you believe this is, this actress's big blockbuster debut? She acted in other things before, but this is like, she's the lead in, and she's acting the crap out of these scenes. My God. Uh, but thanks to Vector pumping info out of Hugo, they end up setting up Alita when she's joining this rollerball motorball thing, and all the other contestants are just bounty hunters and criminals. So she ended up whooping all their asses on this roller derby thing, because it kind of looks like, Speed Racer mixed with God, I had something here, mixed with Transformers. But Zarpan, who's just kind of like a petty bitch, who felt disrespected by Alita, who, by the way, the first action scene that really caught my eye, because it was in the trailer, I do remember that, where dude tries to grab her in the bar chart, grab her by the throat, but she does this little move like, ooh, boom, boom. It's like all that in one motion. There was no cuts until she slammed his head into the table. That was like a sweet, like, just like the smoothest of moves of like something from Bruce Lee or something. It was so smooth, man. I love that. That was perfectly done. And this was CGI. That just felt so realistic. It's awesome display. But since he got his, got his ass handed to him by a woman half his size, so now he's butthurt. He goes after Hugo, who he frames for a murder from like a cyborg. Kills one of his black best friend. Cuts him in half. Like I said, this should have been R-rated. He chases him down. Zari wounded his shoulder, and he calls Alita, who she leaves the stadium and finally tracks him down, but he's mortally wounded by Zapan, and she takes him inside this building, and Jennifer Connelly's character shows up and, lies talking about she never found him, and then helps her with helping Hugo. He's mortally wounded. They can't save his life, so they end up, surgically removing his head so she can claim the bounty, because it'll be illegal for a bounty hunter to not claim a bounty and not complete the bounty. That I guess it's just, here's the confusing part. Just because he's there doesn't mean she have to automatically be entitled. Well, no, scratch that. She did technically claim it when she confronted Zapan. It's like, no, it's my bounty. I will do it. But Zapan calls out on her BS, like, okay, then do it. Since you claimed the bounty, it means you have to fulfill the obligation. Not sure how the other enforcers who make sure that fulfillment is honored, but they come in out of nowhere, just like, you made the agreement, you have to honor it now. So thanks to Dr. Sharon surgically removing the head, Alita walks out with the head, but it's connected to like tubes in her body, so she's still keeping the head alive. But this still satisfies the enforcers. It's like, he's dead, so the bounty is honored. But Zapan, confronts her, but it's illegal to try to snatch up a bounty that was already claimed. So this gives Alita full license to attack another bounty hunter, because he broke the rule first. So she ended up slicing up his pretty face. Didn't kill him, but definitely left something to remember her by, and took his sword, because she didn't think he was honorable enough to have something as prestigious as the sword, which is her iconic weapon that you probably would have seen in the anime and the manga. So Ito gives Hugo a cybernetic body to keep him alive, but he ended up leaving to go and, just like in the anime, climb up these like giant tube things, while Alita at the same time is dealing with Vector. And because Dr. Shren didn't deal with Alita when she had the opportunity, she got harvested herself. And Vector ended up showing her like her brain, eyes, hands, and another organ in like a cooler kind of thing. It was kind of messed up. Like I said, this is PG-13 and not R. It's like people don't know how to rate things no more. But then the guy gargantuan cyber comes back again, and because she's more of an effective fighter, she takes this guy out. And then Nova somehow cybernetically possesses Vector, who's telling her like, I'm up there, I'm waiting on you, and then she murders Vector just to make a point to Nova. And then she tries to save Hugo, but Nova sends out a serrated blade that ends up chopping up Hugo. So he falls to his death. So she still, a few months go by. She entered this tournament to win as champion. So now she's like ready to take the fight to Nova. So it was, yeah. Like I said, it's one hell of a movie, man. It's a shame that like I didn't go to see it. Like I said, it maybe didn't pique my interest when it was really like when it was trying to be promoted. But man, it's like one of those movies like, man, I probably should have went to the movies to see it. Matter of fact, I probably should have saw this movie a long time ago. Kicking myself. I once had totally kicking myself. I'm glad I saw it when I saw it. But yeah, man, this movie's amazing. The CGI and cinematography, everything about it is amazing. The acting in here is spot on. Like the only thing, like I said, is cringy, and probably should have been taken out, is the whole bar scene trying to do this whole rallying cry with a bunch of cutthroats that didn't feel earned at all. Could have cut that out altogether, personally. But so far, it seems very, from what I'm understanding, very on point with everything in the manga and anime. Because I can imagine it's hard to pick and choose between to honor the anime or the manga. And it's like, who says I can't do both? It's a shame this was in development hell this entire time. But we well, I hope we get something with this in the future. But in 2020, Christopher Waltz said he hadn't heard any discussions about a sequel, and thought it was probably unlikely thanks to Disney acquisition with Fox. Robert Rodriguez hopes for a sequel because he's down for it. And Rosa Salazar said like, hey, if Robert is on board, I'll come back as of April 2023. And July of that same year, James Cameron reiterated that he is working on more than one sequel to this. So hopefully, despite it being what, like 6 years, because we've been knee deep in the Avatar crap, which is just Pocahontas or Ferngully, but man, we should have long since got in a sequel to this, because this is really, really good. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Alita Battle Angel, because like, have you seen this film, and what parts about it like do you really like? It's like I said, the director and the writers are so good. Everybody behind this movie did such a great job. I'm having a tough time really finding something that I can say like, yeah, that part didn't work, that part didn't work. I only have like probably just one thing that didn't work for me. Oh, well, the whole rollerball thing. I initially I would have said, yeah, you can easily kind of cut that a bit short, but because it's so integral into the overall narrative that it kind of brings a lot of these characters together, you can't really take that out. But you could at the very least put a little bit more emphasis on it, kind of like making like a like speed racer kind of situation, like, or NASCAR. It's supposed to be like the NASCAR of this world. So it should have probably got a little bit more time with it, or I don't know. It kind of feels like you put it to the side and then put a lot more emphasis on it, like you probably should. But anyway, that was Alita Battle Angel. Now, the next group of films that I'll be reviewing is My Hero Academia films. Then after that, it'll be a bit of surprise. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to leave a like and comment, share this with your friends, and I will see you all a little bit later, because I want to hop on to more Marvel Rivals, because I want to do one more day playing with the Ben Grimm before tomorrow. Well, I'm going to be spending most of the afternoon playing with all the Fantastic Four characters. So anyway, I will see you all soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.